In this video, we're going to talk about supply and demand, and the best way to understand the model of supply and demand is really to approach it from one perspective at a time. Demand are the people that are purchasing product, they want product, whereas supply is the people or entities providing the product. So first, we're going to take a look at demand. And there's a couple of things when you look at a demand graph that are really important to consider. You have an x-axis here and a y-axis here. And on this x-axis, we have quantity. So quantity is how much of a product that a person wants to purchase. Over here, we have price. And price is what the product is going to cost. And you can see multiple price and quantity points here. So price one is related to quantity one. You can see as you take a look at this point on the demand curve. This is called the demand curve, even though it's a straight line. They're not always a straight line. They're rarely a straight line. But in this case, to make things simple, we're representing the demand curve as a straight line. So this price is relatively high on this price axis, and the quantity is relatively low. If the price decreases from price one to price two, we have a decrease in price. And what we see over here on the x-axis is, or the quantity axis is, we have an increase from quantity one to quantity two. So when price decreases, people want more of that product. And that's represented this way. Sometimes people think when they look at this graph, well, if these points are declining, it's a bad thing. Actually, if you're from the perspective of a buyer, it's a good thing, because what we have here is we've got price decreasing and simultaneously we have quantity increasing. So it's always best to start from the perspective of demand to see how a demand curve works. Now, moving forward, we're going to take a look at supply for a minute. And supply works the opposite way, where demand has an inverse relationship. This is an inverse relationship. So price decreases, quantity increases, meaning they move in the opposite direction. Price and quantity move in the opposite direction. Price goes up, quantity goes down, price goes down, quantity goes up. In supply, we have a direct relationship. So whatever happens to price also happens to quantity. Why? Supply. I'm making things. I'm selling things. Think about yourself. If you are going to work and you receive a pay increase, you want to work more hours, right? Imagine if you were making $10 an hour and someone said, well, I'm going to give you $100 an hour. You would say, I'll work as many as I can get, right? While you can get it, you take it. And that's how people on the side of price respond. So in this case, price one and quantity one are relatively low on the supply curve. Price two and quantity two are relatively high. So price one increased to price two. And when price went up, quantity went up. In other words, price goes up. I want to make more as a provider. I feel very good. Economics is a social science. So things in social science that make us feel good want us to do more. Price goes up. I, as a result, want to sell more product. And so we then have an increase in the amount supplied in a market. So now that you've seen demand and supply separate, let's put them together. We're going to put these together. And now you see when you layer in the demand curve and the supply curve. And by the way, as you're watching this, take note that with each of these graphs, the demand curve is always going to be red. The supply curve is always going to be blue. So it's going to help your eye adjust to this. So the red curve is demand. The blue curve is supply. And what's happening here is you see them meeting in the middle. And that meeting in the middle is called equilibrium. And so when we establish equilibrium, everyone that wants to buy buys, and everyone that wants to sell sells. In other words, we're kind of in a normalized part of the market here. Everything's operating in an efficient manner in the market. And so while if nothing changes in terms of price, then everything's going to continue to stay the same in terms of quantity. As an example, if toothpaste is $1 per tube and I use toothpaste once a month, nothing's going to change me once a month from buying a tube of toothpaste, except if price goes way up. So let's say a tube of toothpaste moves from $1 to $10. I might get very creative about how I use my toothpaste if that's the case. I might brush my teeth less. I might use half the amount of toothpaste. I might find a substitute product. So there's different ways that people will respond to that price increase. By the same token, if that price increases, Procter & Gamble says, well, heck yes, we want to make more toothpaste. So they start producing more toothpaste. We've really seen this since the pandemic in terms of the increase in toilet paper and paper towels, paper-based products. When you look at paper-based products, you see the prices way up, and those companies are very happy to manufacture those things. And so as a result, you establish this model. But if that tube of toothpaste stays at $1, the price at equilibrium, I'm going to buy one tube of toothpaste, quantity at the equilibrium, $1 equals one tube of toothpaste every month. If price increases, Procter & Gamble will want to make more, but Frank is going to want to buy less. And therefore, I'm going to move to the left on the demand curve, decreasing the quantity purchased that I would want to purchase. If price dips below $1, then I move here. I have an increase in quantity because I want to buy more. But also, by the same token, Procter & Gamble's not too happy about that. So they actually will start cutting production if they're not making enough profit on a product. So this is the way that supply and demand works. And again, it's best to come at this model from two different perspectives. First, look at demand, which has an inverse relationship. Then look at supply, which has a direct relationship, meaning that the direction in which price moves is going to be mirrored by the quantity. So supply and demand is one of the most important models that you can look at in economics. And it underpins so many other concepts in the way that things work in the economy.